Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you 10 more Gutenberg editor tips and tricks that you probably didn't know. And these tips are the combination between the old tips that you probably never heard of, and also I will bring you some exciting new features that just got released from the WordPress 6.6 update. And be sure to watch towards the end because there is one incredible resource that will make your work with Gutenberg a lot easier and a lot faster. And so let's get into it. Okay, for the tips number one, I'm going to call this one color gradient separation. Honestly, this is not the official name. This is just a name that I come up with, and you will see why. So what we are trying to achieve is this design. You'll see that there is two colors. There is a dark gray and also there is light gray below it, but there is a clear separation between the two colors. You might think that we need to use a different block for it, but in reality, there is only one block with one setting. So we are going to try to manipulate the gradient color to make a clear separation like this. To do that, you have to click the block or click the group block. In this case, I'm going to select this group block and go to styles, click background and click gradient. Here, I'm going to select the preset that is this color. If you are using a different theme, then you probably will see a different preset, but basically you can select any color. This is just for a demonstration. And you'll see that there is a nice transition between the dark gray into the light gray. But as we have discussed earlier, we want to create this clear separation. And therefore, I'm going to click this control point to this area. And then you have to overlap the other control point on top of this existing control point on the same area. So just put it to this area. You have to be precise. You want to make sure it is precisely on top of another. And this is the result. You can see that it looks similar to the example that I just shown you. And that is for the color gradient separation. And for the tip number two is that you can copy any image from any source to your WordPress website. In other words, you can upload an image to your WordPress website by just copy and paste. And this is actually something that has been around for quite some time, but there are a lot of people still didn't know about this feature. So usually if you want to upload an image, you have to manually save the image to your computer and then you want to upload the file to your website. But you don't have to do that every time because you can just copy the image from any other website and then paste that into your Gutenberg editor. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm going to copy a picture of, let's say, polar bear. And I'm going to get this picture to my website. What I need to do is just right click on the image, copy, and then I just need to press Ctrl+V on my keyboard, or if you're using Mac, then it's going to be Command and V. But regardless, the process is the same. I can also just use the context menu, right click, and then paste. And WordPress will recognize the file and will upload this image to your website, to your server. So you don't have to manually save the image to your computer and then navigate through the upload menu to get this image to your website. But perhaps the downside is that we cannot give a proper name to the image. And this is quite important for SEO. But at least we can still add some alternative text, or we can also change the title of this image, which is still very helpful for SEO. That is for the tip number two. Let's move on. For the tip number three is going to be related to shadow. I have discussed on my previous video that we can now add some shadow to some element into our Gutenberg editor. And this is a relatively new addition into the editor. But at that time, we cannot really change or adjust the setting for the shadow. If I want to add a shadow to this button, go to the style menu, and I'm going to open the shadow menu. You'll see that there are 5 presets for the shadow. You can select any of them and it will be applied to the content. But other than that, we cannot really change anything about the shadow. We cannot change the blur setting, we cannot change the position or even the color of the shadow. But fortunately, WordPress has listened to our feedback and now we have the ability to change the preset or the setting of these shadows, and we can even add a new one. To do that, you have to go to your WordPress dashboard and then go to Appearance and click Editor. Now we can click Anywhere and then go to Styles, click Shadows, and you will see the 5 presets that are available in the WordPress core. Now you can click on any of them to open the setting menu. Let's say I'm going to open this menu, and you'll see we have the ability to change the color. We can also change the X and Y position. You'll see the changing. You can change the blur setting, the spread, and many other aspects of this preset, but I don't want to do that. Instead, I'm going to add my custom shadow. Click this menu, and I'm going to call this one purple, because this is going to be the purple shadow. Click here, and I'm going to adjust the color. And for the XY position, it doesn't really matter. I just want to show you if we can have a shadow. Anyway, now let's click save and save again. I'm going to go back to this editor, refresh the page, because we just add another preset for the shadow. Now let's click on the button again, go to styles, and there you go. Now there is another setting called purple. This is the new shadow preset that I just created on the theme editor. I probably should have made the color stronger, but regardless, you can still edit the shadow later. So that is for the tip number 3. For the tip number 4 is called negative margin, and I think it's quite self-explanatory. Essentially, we can add a negative margin to any element in WordPress, and this is very useful if you want to make some element or some blocks to overlapping another. Let's open the list view, and I want to make this area or this element to overlap the previous section. To do that, I'm going to click on the block, go to styles, and for the margin, you will see that in order to open the setting for the negative margin, we have to select which margin that we want to apply the negative value. So I'm going to add the negative value to the top margin and click this option to set the custom size. And I'm going to change the parameter to be rem. If you want to insert the negative margin, you have to start with the negative character, like that. And let's say it's -7. And there you go. You can see that it is overlapping the previous element, and that is the benefit of using the negative margin. You can make it overlap an existing element, because in Gutenberg, it's usually a little challenging to make one element to overlap one another without the help of a CSS code. But now with the help of negative margin, we can do that. The next Gutenberg tip that you probably didn't know is that you can change the text orientation from horizontal to vertical. To do that, you have to select the text block. It could be any text block. And then, just to be precise, I want to make sure I'm selecting the text block. Okay, this is the heading block. It is considered to be a text block. Now, let's go to the setting, and on the typography menu, you want to open the orientation option. Now there are 2 options. We can choose horizontal, which is the default setting for any text, but you can also change it to vertical, and this is the result. But there is one caveat here. In case you didn't see this orientation option in your WordPress website, there could be 2 reasons. First, you haven't updated your WordPress core, so be sure to go to the update menu and make sure you're running the latest version of WordPress. But there is also another reason. It could be that your WordPress theme doesn't support that, and this is even true in some blog themes. If that happens to you, then you might want to reach out to the theme developer and ask them to include this feature on the next update. For the next feature is pretty simple. It has something to do with a group block. Supposedly, I want to change the background color of this text to be green, but I don't want to do them manually. So what I need to do is that I want to group all the text or all the elements together under the same group, and therefore I could just apply the setting one time instead of having to do it manually multiple times across different blocks. So in the Gutenberg editor, you can select multiple elements like this until you can see the blue selection like this, and then you can select the group icon to group all the elements together. Now if you open the list view, you'll see that now this group block contains all the elements that previously was separated, and now everything is now on the same group. I can just go to styles and finally apply some settings, and the entire content will have the same setting because they are, after all, under the same umbrella. So that is for the tip number 6. If you are designing a page with a lot of blocks, then it is always a good idea to keep them more organized. And WordPress has introduced a new feature that allows you to rename a specific block in your Gutenberg editor. So let me give you an example. Let's open the document overview. You'll see that I have this pricing section and there are multiple blocks. Some of them are coming from the same type, which is the column block. Here I have 3 columns and all of them are named the same because they are just using the default naming, which is the reflection of the name of the block. And you can see that each column is representing a specific price. And I don't want to accidentally change the setting for the column or the pricing that I don't want to change. So in order to prevent that, you might want to rename the column or rename the block. Just click on this options menu and then click rename. I'm going to call this one free and this one is going to be standard. Just click the 3-dot icon, rename and save. So that's pretty much how you can rename a block in the Gutenberg editor. I've been using this feature a lot and it has been a lifesaver. And so if you want to design a web page with tons of blocks, then make sure to rename each one of them. WordPress has introduced a new feature that allows you to add a background image to the whole website. This is quite reminiscent to the era of 2010's blogger.com, where people are making websites from blogger.com and they apply some sort of backgrounds or image that is repeating and can be found throughout the website. And now this feature is finally available in WordPress. I personally not going to use it, or I don't see any reason to use it, but maybe some of you will find it useful or find it attractive. And if you want to add a site-wide background image, then you have to open the theme editor like this, click anywhere, go to the styles menu, and then click layout and click add background image. Now you can select an image from your WordPress library. You can also upload a new image from your computer. I'm going to select an image from my library. Let's say I'm going to select this picture. And there you go. Just wait. Now we have this image repeating the whole website. You can see that throughout the website on many pages, not just the home page, but pretty much every page of the website that have a transparent background on its element. And of course, you can also select the area of the image that you want to make it visible. You can also adjust various settings like the size and also whether or not the image should be repeating. And yeah, there are so many settings here. I'm not going to show you all of them, but yeah, this is pretty much how you can apply a background image to the whole website with just one setting. And that is the tip number 8. And the next tip is about a block that not many people have been using. And this is very useful if you want to design a website, especially an FAQ section, which usually will have an accordion design. So you can click on the question and then it will reveal the answer. It's quite a popular design, it's very interactive, and you might be thinking that you need a plugin to achieve the design, but actually no. There is one block in WordPress that allows you to have this nice looking or classic FAQ section on your website with just the core Gutenberg block. And the Gutenberg block that I'm talking about is called details. Just go to the editor. I'm going to add a new block here. Let's type details. Let's populate that with the question. This is the question, and this is going to be the answer. Now you can also set it to always open, or you can set it to be closed. It's totally up to you. And you can also change the background color maybe to white. And you might also add some padding to make the question and answer look a little prettier. Let's add some top and bottom and also left and right padding. This is the details block that we just created, and it looks pretty, especially if you have multiple questions that you want to display on your website or on your blog post, then you can use this Gutenberg block. And finally, we have WordPress patterns directory. This is a collection of thousands of patterns or Gutenberg blocks that have been created by the community, and they share the design so anyone can copy and then paste it to their own website. Let's say I have no knowledge about designing something using the Gutenberg editor. What I need to do is I can just go to wordpress.org/patterns, and then here I can select any category. Let's say call to action, And I highly recommend to filter by community. Click apply and you will see even more options that you could apply to your website. And let's say I want to get this button. Let's say I want to get this CTA to my website. Just click on it and click copy pattern. And just paste it right here. You can right click or you can also press Ctrl V on your keyboard. And there you go. Now I have this design ready without me doing anything. So this is a very useful resource to get anything done in WordPress in just a few seconds. But of course, there are so many other features that you probably didn't know about the Gutenberg editor. So if you want to know more some Gutenberg editor tips and tricks, then check out my previous video and I'll see you there.